Hi, this is Roger in Finland, and today we're going to be reviewing and comparing two cheap small diaphragm condenser microphones, t.Bone EM800 and the t.Bone EM700. So for the impatient ones, these microphones are very cheap, under 40 euros, both of them. They give excellent audio quality, not just for the price, but in general. They do require phantom power, and in situations like this of talking heads indoors, they're a no-brainer. This one sounds better to me, but this one has more features. For those of you with some more patience, I'll be recording this whole video using these two microphones straight into the Zoom H5, and I'm also recording with the lavalier mic that I usually use for these videos for you to get a comparison. I'm going to be switching between these two, and at some point I'm going to put the lavalier as well, so you get a sense of which one of them would you like the most and which one of them would you get. Let's take a look at the specs, at least how do they compare on paper. I mean, literally. The EM700 is 29 euros at the moment, the EM800 is 39. Both of them come with a really pretty big hard plastic case. Both of them come with a mount. The EM700 comes with a shock mount, this one actually, and the EM800 comes with a mount, but that's not a shock mount, if that's something that you need. When we look at the frequency response, the EM800 goes from 20 to 20,000 Hz, and the EM700 goes from 50 to 20,000 Hz. And also on the low end of the frequency in the spectrum, the EM700 does have a low cut filter at 75 and 150 Hz. It's a -3 dB low cut filter. And that's something that could be useful if you need to remove rumble or dishwasher sound in the background. Both of them need 48 volts of phantom power, so you're going to need some device that would provide that. The Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera that I'm recording right now does provide that. The Zoom H5, which I'm recording the two microphones at the moment directly into it, also provides it. And then maybe some of you do have an audio interface that you're using to record your audio directly to the computer in these kind of situations. And many of those do provide also the phantom power. But this is not a microphone that you can just plug straight into the camera unless that one can provide that phantom power. When it comes to sensitivity, it seems that the EM700 can go down to -42 dBs and the EM800 to -35, and the maximum would be 107 for the EM800 and 135 for the EM700. So this seems to be able to have a broader range of gathering input, and the EM800 being a little bit lower, but that's something for you to decide whether it matters in practice or not. And I mentioned the shock mount earlier on the cheaper option, the EM700, but it also has more features than the EM800. It does have the low cut filters that we talked before, and it also has a pad option that it will attenuate the output of the microphone by 10 and 20 dBs, which might be useful in some situations where you have either really loud sources or super hot preamps. So once again, it seems that the cheaper option has more accessories and has a lot more features. Why should we pay more for the other one? To me, the answer to the question is, well, how do they compare in practice? Each one of you will have a different use for them. For me, this is the use case of small diaphragm condenser microphones. Placed about 30 centimeters of the audio source for indoor use in not particularly treated room for this kind of talking heads. Right now I have them mounted in this stand so that you can see them, kind of making the point that this video is about the review of these microphones, but usually what I would do is mount only one of them, obviously, in a boom arm, and then boom it on top of me, somewhere outside of the frame. It would be pretty much at the same distance than they are now, so the audio tests that you're hearing are relevant for that situation as well. And in this particular situation that I'm describing, the EM700, regardless of the specs that we were going through before, at the same distance from the source, me in this case, using exactly the same cables and the same recorder, it does require more gain to get the same level of output when it comes to my voice. In practice, what it means is that because it requires higher gain in the recorder, it will record more noise in the silence, or it has a more floor noise. Let's take a hear at how does the silence sound for both microphones. And now I'm going to crank the gain in post so you can hear the difference between the different noise levels. And when do the extra features of the EM700 come in handy? Well, the low cut filter at 75 or 150 Hz comes in handy if you want to remove rumble from the sound. This might be caused by traffic in the background or even some machinery like the dishwasher or even your fridge in the house. That might be a useful feature. Of course, that's something that you could also implement by having a low cut filter in your recorder or apply it afterwards, but it might be handy for you to put it already in the microphone itself. The second feature is the padding and or the attenuation. So this attenuates, as mentioned before, minus 10 and minus 20 dBs, and this would be useful if you need to record really loud sources or if your preamps are super hot. In general, I think that the difference between these two microphones is that the EM800 is suitable for voice recording for sure, and the EM700 offers extra functionalities if you want to use it also to record instruments that might have requirements which are different from the human voice, and some of these extra features will come in handy in those cases. And in general, if you're not familiar with microphones and differences between microphones, what is the use case for small diaphragm condenser microphones? This is one of them. Talking head static situations recorded indoors, these are a really excellent choice. I recommend you to check some of Gerald and Don's videos, and he usually uses an Octava microphone, which is fairly inexpensive, even though not as cheap as these two, to record his audio. There are very good explanations, and both of these have cardioid or supercardioid pattern, which means that they are rejecting sound coming from the back. If you think about shotgun microphones, they are very directional, which is great, especially if you're outdoors because you just want to record that particular source of sound or your voice, but they also pick some noise from the sides and then from the back. And in an untreated room like this one or many indoor shots, that means that the reflections and the echoes will be coming through the back of the microphone, making this a much better choice for this situation than shotgun microphones in most cases. I forgot to mention earlier, this is not affiliate to t.Bone or Thomann, which is where you can get these microphones at all. You probably have guessed that by the size of the channel. I have no sponsors and nobody's sending me anything, so I purchased this with my own money. And now I'm just sharing my experiences and my thoughts with you because you might be considering purchasing them. So what are my conclusions, recommendations? Like, well, if you already have a device that can provide XLR phantom power to microphones and use that to record, and you need something for a situation like this one, indoors, talking heads, I would go with the EM800 for sure because I think it sounds better, and the extra features of the 700 don't bring any value for this particular setup. And if you're looking for a bit more versatile microphone that you might need the extra features, either the pad or the low cut filters, then the EM700 is an excellent option. Both of them come in sets of 2 as well, and they are still very affordable. As I said, I think the price is cut a little bit more. And when it comes to small diaphragm condenser microphones, I think they are excellent options. Alright, I hope you find the video interesting and useful. If you did, please like and subscribe, and we're gonna see you soon for some more content.